The Hittites were an ancient Anatolian people who established a powerful empire in what is now Turkey, Syria, and parts of Lebanon during the Late Bronze Age. Their civilization thrived between approximately 1600 and 1200 BCE, and they are best known for their military prowess, administrative innovations, and complex relationship with neighboring cultures such as the Egyptians, Assyrians, and Mycenaeans. Though the Hittites were largely forgotten by history until their rediscovery in the 19th century, they played a significant role in the ancient Near East and left a lasting legacy in the region. Origins and rise of the Hittite kingdom. The origins of the Hittites are somewhat obscure, but they are believed to have been one of several Indo-European groups that migrated into Anatolia around the beginning of the 2nd millennium BCE. The Hittites likely settled in central Anatolia, in an area known as the Land of Hatti, which had been inhabited by a non-Indo-European people, the Hattians. Over time, the Hittites absorbed the local Hattians' culture while imposing their own Indo-European language and identity. The Hittite kingdom began to take shape around 1650 BCE, under the rule of King Hattusili I, who established his capital at Hattusa, near modern-day Bogazgil in Turkey. Hattusili I was a formidable military leader who expanded the Hittite territory through campaigns in Anatolia and northern Syria. His successor, Mursili I, continued these conquests and famously sacked the city of Babylon around 1595 BCE. This event marked the height of early Hittite power, but internal strife and external threats soon led to a period of decline. The Hittite Empire. The Hittite kingdom was revitalized during the reign of King Tudhaliya I, circa 1430 BCE, who laid the foundation for what is known as the Hittite Empire. Under Tudhaliya and his successors, the Hittites expanded their control over much of Anatolia and Syria, creating a vast and powerful empire that rivaled the great powers of the ancient Near East, including Egypt, Assyria, and Mitanni. The Hittite Empire reached its zenith under the reign of King Suppiluliuma I, circa 1350–1322 BCE. Suppiluliuma was a skilled diplomat and military leader who significantly expanded Hittite influence in the region. He defeated the Mitanni kingdom, a major power in northern Syria, and established Hittite dominance over much of Syria. Suppiluliuma also engaged in diplomacy with Egypt, even negotiating a marriage alliance with the Egyptian royal family. The Hittite Empire was characterized by its centralized administration, which was based in the capital city of Hattusa. The king was the supreme ruler, but he was supported by a bureaucracy that managed the various provinces of the empire. The Hittites also developed an advanced legal system, with written laws that governed everything from property disputes to criminal offenses, religion and society. Hittite society was complex and hierarchical, with the king at the top, followed by a class of nobles, priests, and warriors. The majority of the population were farmers, herders, and artisans who lived in rural villages and towns. The Hittites were polytheistic, worshipping a pantheon of gods and goddesses who were associated with natural forces such as the sun, storms, and fertility. The Hittite religion was heavily influenced by the cultures of the peoples they conquered or interacted with, including the Hurrians, Hattians, and Luwians. This resulted in a syncretic belief system, with many gods being identified with deities from other cultures. The Hittite pantheon was led by the storm god, who was considered the chief deity and protector of the king and the state. The sun goddess of Arina, another prominent deity, was associated with fertility and the earth. Religious rituals played an important role in Hittite society, and the king often acted as the high priest, performing sacrifices and other ceremonies to ensure the favor of the gods. Temples were built throughout the empire, and religious festivals were held to honor the gods and ensure the prosperity of the kingdom. Hittite warfare. The Hittites were renowned for their military prowess, particularly their use of chariots in battle. Hittite chariots were heavier than those of their contemporaries, such as the Egyptians, and were typically manned by 3 people, a driver, a warrior, and a shield bearer. This made Hittite chariots formidable on the battlefield, and they were often used to break enemy lines and create chaos among opposing forces. The Hittite army was composed of both professional soldiers and conscripted peasants. The king served as the supreme commander, leading his troops into battle and personally overseeing military campaigns. The Hittites also employed siege warfare, using battering rams and other equipment to breach the walls of fortified cities. One of the most famous battles involving the Hittites was the Battle of Kadesh, fought against the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II in 1274 BCE. The battle took place near the city of Kadesh, in present-day Syria, and is one of the best documented conflicts of the ancient world. Although both sides claimed victory, the battle ended in a stalemate, with neither the Hittites nor the Egyptians able to gain a decisive advantage. The conflict eventually led to the signing of the Treaty of Kadesh, one of the earliest known peace treaties in history. The decline of the Hittite Empire. The Hittite Empire began to decline in the late 13th century BCE, due to a combination of internal strife, external pressures, and environmental factors. Succession disputes weakened the central authority, leading to instability within the empire. At the same time, the Hittites faced increasing threats from external enemies, including the Sea Peoples, a mysterious group of seafaring raiders who attacked various coastal cities in the eastern Mediterranean. One of the final blows to the Hittite Empire was the invasion of the Phrygians and other Indo-European groups from the west. These invasions, coupled with the internal problems facing the Hittites, led to the collapse of the empire around 1200 BCE. The capital city of Hattusa was abandoned, and the once mighty Hittite Empire fragmented into several smaller, independent kingdoms. Despite the collapse of the central Hittite state, some Hittite successor kingdoms, known as the Neo-Hittite states, survived in the regions of northern Syria and southeastern Anatolia. These small states continued to exist for several centuries, maintaining Hittite cultural traditions, but they never regained the power and influence of the earlier Hittite Empire. By the 8th century BCE, most of these Neo-Hittite states had been absorbed into the expanding Assyrian Empire. Rediscovery of the Hittites. For centuries, the Hittites were largely forgotten by history, and their civilization faded into obscurity. It wasn't until the late 19th and early 20th centuries that the Hittites were rediscovered by archaeologists and scholars. The first clues to the existence of the Hittites came from the Bible, where the Hittites are mentioned as one of the peoples of Canaan. However, little was known about them beyond these biblical references. In the 1830s, the French scholar Charles Texier identified the ruins of Hattusa, but it wasn't until the early 20th century that the site was excavated by German archaeologist Hugo Winkler. Winkler's excavations uncovered thousands of cuneiform tablets, which provided valuable insights into Hittite history, culture, and language. These tablets revealed that the Hittites were a major power in the ancient Near East, and they helped to reconstruct the history of the Hittite Empire. One of the most significant discoveries was the identification of the Hittite language as part of the Indo-European language family. This was a major breakthrough in the study of ancient languages, as it provided evidence of the early presence of Indo-European peoples in Anatolia. Legacy of the Hittites. The Hittites left a lasting legacy in the ancient Near East, both through their contributions to politics and warfare and through their cultural and religious influence. Their legal and administrative systems were advanced for their time, and their diplomacy helped shape the political landscape of the Late Bronze Age. The Hittite Empire's interactions with other great powers, such as Egypt and Assyria, played a significant role in the balance of power in the region. The Treaty of Kadesh, for example, is one of the earliest examples of a diplomatic agreement between two major states, and it set a precedent for future international treaties. The rediscovery of the Hittites in the 20th century has provided valuable insights into the history of the ancient Near East and has helped to fill in gaps in our understanding of the Late Bronze Age. The Hittites are now recognized as one of the great civilizations of the ancient world, and their story continues to fascinate scholars and the public alike. The Hittites were a remarkable civilization that rose to power in the Late Bronze Age and played a key role in the history of the ancient Near East. From their origins as a small kingdom in central Anatolia, the Hittites expanded to create a vast empire that rivaled the great powers of their time. Though their empire eventually fell, their legacy lived on through the Neo-Hittite states and the rediscovery of their civilization in the modern era. The Hittites' contributions to politics, warfare, and culture continue to be studied and appreciated today, making them a vital part of our understanding of ancient history.